and I'm filling in for our illustrious chairperson who's recovering from hip surgery and is missing us, but he's participating remotely. Thank you for attending. We're welcoming board members in person, and we have 3 remote participants, 4 remote, and public viewers, welcome. Please note this board meeting is being recorded. A link to the recording and transcription will be posted on the Olympic Authority website following this meeting. As we start with today's items, I remind the board members to please speak clearly as possible and to identify yourselves each time you speak or make a motion. An agenda is included in your board packet. And Renee, please, may we have a roll call to make sure a quorum is present.
Joe Martens.
Here.
Bill Beanie.
Here.
Cliff Donaldson.
Here.
Frank Cardinal. Steve Hunt.
Here.
Betty Little.
Here.
Art Lucy.
Here.
Diane Monroe.
Here.
Chris Pushkarsh.
Here.
Joe Zalewski.
Here.
And Eleanor Tatum.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to have Michelle make a comment, please.
Yeah, thank you, Art. I just wanted to note that, as Art has already mentioned, our board chair, Joe Martens, is participating from a private location. In accordance with our rules, the Olympic Authority's procedural rules for remote participation in board meetings, Renee will reflect this in the meeting minutes in accordance with those rules. We have a quorum of members present at one or more physical locations that are open to the public, and the meeting is being made available by video conferencing in accordance with the Olympic Authority procedural rules and the requirements of the open meetings law provisions that authorize remote attendance under extraordinary circumstances.
Thank you. Okay, we have a quorum, and the first item for board action on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our December meeting. And may I have a motion approving the minutes of the meeting held on December 13, 2023.
I'll make that motion, Betty.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Go ahead. Second, Joe Zalewski.
Second, Joe Zalewski. And any discussion, any corrections? All those in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I abstain. This is Cliff. I abstain. I was not at that meeting.
Thank you, Cliff. So the motion carries with 1 abstention. Next on the agenda, we have a matter regarding the appointment or employment of a particular person or corporation that requires discussion in an executive session of the board. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, discuss matters leading to the appointment or employment of a particular person or corporation.
So moved.
So moved by Diane and second by Cliff. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Any abstention? Motion carries unanimously. So with that, I'll politely ask the audience to excuse. So the meeting is back in public session following a successful motion and vote to end the executive session and resume our public session. No action was taken during executive session, and the next item on the agenda will be the executive committee report, which I'll provide. On December 21st, 2023, the executive committee met to consider Resolution 520. This was a resolution approving and adopting the Olympic Authority's 2024-2025 budget and 2023 through 2028 financial plan, corrected. This meeting was held under the authority of the Executive Committee as set forth in the Olympic Authority bylaws in Article 3, Section 2, to transact the authority's business between meetings of the Board of Directors. The resolution approved a correction of the total expenditures, which should have read $1,162,024,876 rather than $182,024,876. This error did not affect any other items within the document. Are there any questions or comments on the Executive Committee's report? I would just note that Member Little pointed out that it was in our original motion. This was not in the financial report that was given at that meeting. With no questions, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is the President's report. And Ashley, please give your report to the board.
All good? Thanks, Mike. All right, so we had quite a busy past couple of months since we met last. Couple of really nice events that we get to highlight here. On January 23rd, we had the pleasure of hosting Governor Hochul at Mount Van Hoevenberg. She presented her executive budget. It was a great way to highlight the venue and show some of our sporting events that were going on at the same time. Several of our local elected and key partners were there in attendance. So thank you to all of the board members that were able to make it. During her presentation, Governor Hochul reconfirmed New York State's commitment to continue to host major international events. So it was an excellent tie-in to be at that venue and hear her speaking so positively about the investments and the future of our venues. So this is a quick snapshot of our business operations. As we all are aware, this has been a less than optimal winter so far. Despite that, our venue visitations have remained flat, but our revenue is up at 7% compared to this time last year. We have 4 major areas of growth, the first of them being Bel Air. It's really a testament to the snowmaking, the lift upgrades, the lodge modernizations, that we've seen, and also the great vision and teamwork that we're seeing from the team down there. So huge amounts of growth down at Bel Air. In addition, despite all of the weather challenges, the Lake Placid Olympic Museum and the Olympic Center have done incredibly well. We're now able to host a whole array of other events, including indoor and outdoor skating. The museum has been highlighted in many publications and has seen quite a bit of traffic this winter. In addition, the zip line there that you see, despite not being able to have as many operations open due to the conditions throughout the Christmas and New Year's holiday, the zip line was open and was quite busy. So there's a number of events, whether it be weather dependent or not, that we're able to offer to our guests. But again, 4 major areas of growth here as we continue through the winter. The Adirondack Winter Invitational. This was a 4-tournament collegiate event that we hosted January 20th and 21st.
December.
Thank you. December.
End of December.
You know what? You're right. That was over the the Adirondack Wind Invitational was on the New Year's weekend. Excuse me for that. 4 collegiate teams across the United States that were here competing. You'll see one of them being Joe Martin's home university, UMass Amherst. The winner of the tournament actually was Arizona State, who beat out Cornell in a shootout. So this tournament took place on Friday and Saturday. Really large crowds, part of it being to the less than optimal outdoor conditions. Really exciting hockey, great level of event. I think, Art, you were in attendance.
Yeah, and I would just take this opportunity to comment that I think our ORDA team for having this vision to host an event like this during a rough, rainy Christmas week. This was a bright, shining moment. And it really was evident with the number of visitors that attended these games, because when you have Arizona State as one of the teams, they're not going to bring a lot of fans from Arizona. And a lot of colleges, all their students are on break. So the games were really attended by visitors in the area, and the off the road ticket sales were phenomenal the 2 days prior to the event. I know Chad was very nervous because ticket sales weren't very big going for a while, and then all of a sudden they exploded, and it was very well run and managed and was a great thing. I would add that in the previous slide, the speed skating oval was one of the skating for key growth areas, and the speed skating oval was another game saver for Lake Placid. The oval was packed that 26th to January 1, and that's something that we're extremely fortunate to have in our community, in our area, where some other ski resorts don't have the off-hill activities that we do. And really, it's a rough week into, wow, we did exciting, fun things in the region. And so.
Yeah, and in addition, as we were watching the weather and the trends, we added additional public skating indoor as well to help support just the guests and the weather. So a lot of experiences there. We were sold out at most of the public skatings. We offer curling experiences. So all of those were available to guests and visitors throughout the time. And despite the weather, people had a lot of fun, whether it be, skating themselves or watching some of the hockey. So.
Will this be an annual thing?
So the Adirondack Invitational is an annual event, and unlike ECACs or Can-Am hockey, this is one that we host. So this is an ORDA run event. Next year, it will move to Thanksgiving weekend, because historically, the Invitational, this has been a challenging time to be able to attract guests. So we're moving it to the Thanksgiving weekend to provide similar experiences and opportunities over that weekend.
So that'll spread it out a little bit too.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Next up, we have the Super Tour Eastern Cup that was hosted January 20th and 21st at Mount Van Hovenberg. The Super Tour Eastern Cup is one of six stops on a circuit throughout the United States. There were over 400 athletes that competed on this event throughout the weekend. And it's the highest level of competition within the sport that's currently contested in the United States, as there has not been any World Cups historically or recently in the United States. So this is a very high level, large event that we hosted again last month.
Primarily because we had snow and a lot of the other cross-country areas didn't. So that's, I think, why the turnout was so tremendous as well.
The turnout from the athletes, the participation.
Yeah.
And last evening, if you were in town, was the opening ceremonies for the Empire State Winter Games. So this is an ongoing event. I believe they're in their 44th year. Over the past 2 years, the opening ceremonies have been hosted outside due to COVID concerns, where we were able to work with the organizers and return it to the Olympic Center. This is a great community event. All of the participants that come, they bring their families, a huge economic impact here, and really fun to be able to get them back inside so that the parents could celebrate their athletes and have a better viewing experience, because the challenges outside in the past haven't really allowed for that. So lots of great energy, seeing the kids of all ages, all abilities that are here, that are going to be competing over the next couple of days at the ORDA venues. It's just it's a great way to see this event continue and a great utilization of our venues.
I would just comment that our board members, Ellie was at Van Hovenberg this morning,
Yeah.
and Diane was at Whiteface. We're hosting a Super G, and to see the Empire State Game
It was
hats and uniforms, it just adds a vibrancy to like all of our venues at one time. It's really exceptional.
And when you're an educator and you're a kid person, energy that those kids bring, along with their family and their grandparents, and I'm back next week. We're here because we always come up for a week, but we have a grandson who's going to be competing next weekend. So it's just really, it's really nice to see, and we're seeing it at Bel Air. You know, and this growth at Bel Air, I need to say it. I'll say it over and over again. There's a couple different things that are impacting it, but the investments, carefully planned investments in snowmaking, are just having an astronomical impact. The snow is really good. And the marketing team there and here they've really worked hard, and communications. We're seeing more, and now we have to keep up with it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Excuse me, and Art, I just want to add, I was also at the Olympic Center this morning and at the museum and at the 1980 arena and the 1932 arena. So I was watching some of the figure skating, and it was amazing. You know, to reiterate what Diane was saying, you know, the families, the kids, watching them stand on the podium, getting their medals. It was fantastic. It was really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and it is a great event, and there's an adaptive portion that I'd like to highlight on two of the Empire State Winter Games. And so the sled hockey, the preliminary rounds are at Saranac Lake Civic Center, but the final gold medal game will be hosted at the 1980 rink. So very inclusive event and great community feel.
And if I can add something, this is Cliff. If I can add something, people may well be aware of this fact, but there used to be a counterpart to the Winter Games, and it was the Empire State Summer Games. Those have not been around for a good 10 years.
Longer, I think.
And I think it is a credit to our staff, to our workers out in the field, that we have kept these games going for this amount of time.
Right.
And I just think our staff deserves a pat on the back, and all of our workers do, for the job that they do in this special event for the people of the state of New York.
Yeah, and just to note, ORDA does not organize and run the event. We host the event at multiple venues, but to Cliff's point, the investments, the improvements, the facilities have allowed this event to continue.
Right. Yeah, actually, two of my oldest and youngest attended the Empire Games at a long time ago. And but in the legislature, you know, I had legislators who would come and say, you know, you still have the Empire Games? Well, we don't have them during the summer. How can we get them during the summer? You know, I said, well, your organization and your local organization can work to get them like mine did. And it's just really, really was key that we kept them going. So it's phenomenal that they're still there. So.
And also just in additional thanks to our staff, all of the ceremony, the large screen that you kind of see in the back here was an ORDA screen, and we had a number of our OC staff and the technology team running the lighting, the sound. And so really the opening ceremonies was produced in cooperation with the Adirondack Sports Council that runs the event, but you know, the Olympic Center and IT team were behind the scenes running all of these pieces. So just a testament to, again, to the improvements and what we're capable of doing.
Great. Thank you.
I would add one thing as well, that because of ORDA's investment, the state's investment in ORDA, that these events are affordable, where if we had to charge rack for these athletes and these venues, that it wouldn't go on. It's to Betty's point of, this took a regional effort, and we all know there's events in Tupper Lake and Saranac Lake and Lake Placid and Gore, and it's a big regional effort, and I think it needs to be
In the
done.
initial years, I don't believe there was any state money in it.
Right.
So they started putting money in when they saw how successful we were.
Do we know how many athletes are participating this year?
I don't know the exact number. Historically, it's around 2,000.
Okay. So close to the amount that we had at PSU. Okay. Thank you.
Only homegrown.
Pioneer Day at the North Creek Ski Bowl
I
on
recognize one guy.
you should recognize a few in there.
Yeah.
On January 10th, we honored a number of individuals who have helped to shape the development of the North Creek Ski Bowl. Kelly and Bob Nessel, Buckshot, George Heim, and Mike Pratt. So Betty, thank you for joining us. It was a great celebration and really this is a great piece of the North Creek and the Gore community. And it's nice that we highlight our community members that have done so much work within the region, and looking forward at the construction and the major project that we have over the next 2 years. It's great to see that the growth is continuing in that area and to be able to honor those that helped get it to that point. So
it was nice too that only one was deceased, George Heim. And I will have to tell you that I goofed because I think somebody told me I was speaking last, and then I got invited up to speak first. So I congratulated them all on their award and being honored, and they didn't know it.
Oh.
It was a surprise.
they were still very touched by it, and it was a great celebration of it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And speaking of celebrations, I was mentioned yesterday. So we're coming upon Bel Air's 75th year. So 24-25 is the 75th year of Bel Air Mountain Ski Center. And some of the local folks have been asking, is this a good opportunity? And I said, of course it is. What are you going to do? But again, it's the volunteers. So it would be very cool to try to get involved in some kind of a celebration for that.
And it's my understanding that there used to be some sort of a commemorative area up in the Overlook Lodge. I wasn't there since I've been going there, but when I guess some sort of construction went on there, it went away. And I don't think it's ever been brought back. And so we have nothing like this down at Bel Air. And when we're redoing the lodge, it might be something great to bring back.
In a different form, probably. So the Hall of Fame had giant photos. I have your dad's. Grandfathers. I have your grandfathers in my closet. I wanted to rescue it when I realized that there was some potential harm to come. And I have my father-in-laws, I have my sisters. So it was a source of pride. And it also took up a ton of space. So in many respects, there's this side of you that understands some of the moves that were made, but it would go a long way to finding a way to recapture that in a more efficient manner and then continue it forward. And maybe the 75th year is the good time to do that. So, yeah. Pictures.
Do you have 75 honorees? No, with all the past.
No, but actually, now that this is on my brain, because I needed more to do, I think what I'll do is reach out to someone I know probably has all that history, and let's see what we do have. But there, it was the first one, and then came the ski bowl. I think North Creek was next, or maybe
I think they believe
or maybe
started in North Creek.
Yeah.
Actually,
we're the trendsetters. Gore and Bel
yeah,
Air.
Gore, actually, because of Kelly and Bob Nessel and the organization they put together, we actually at Gore Mountain have the New York State charter for the New York State Ski Museum, where skiing began with, ropes and, hiking up, and a train took them up or
Right.
something,
Yeah.
and come back down. And lots and lots of stuff. But it's always great to commemorate our past.
Yeah.
And really a lot of people they're interested in it.
Yeah.
How'd this start?
So I'd like to highlight some of our community and sport programs and events that go on throughout the venues. We often highlight a lot of the major international events, but there's quite a bit of development and just local and youth programs that are hosted. One in particular that we started this year at the Olympic Center is the Job and Career Training Program. So this is a program that's run in conjunction with the Lake Placid Central School District. So a handful of students come over to the Olympic Center, so literally next door, and they work with our staff on all different areas. So we have them working in the refrigeration plant. They might be working as a ticket seller or in the marketing department. So it's a chance for the youth of the community to have these opportunities to learn different trades, different tasks, or just be open to the experiences that are around them. So this is one that has been very successful this year, and we'd like to grow outside of the Olympic Center into other programs. But a great opportunity for kids that may or may not be college bound to learn some trades and see what other opportunities are there for them. So certainly a very well received and successful event. We often host skating programs, family nights at the Oval, in conjunction with some of our local partners. On January 24th, we had a free night of skating on the Oval for all of the local families. We also run a number of museum education programs. So through the Lake Placid Olympic Museum, they run programs with different schools, not just here locally, but across the country. A lot of them can be done virtually, or they put together packets, educational opportunities that are sent to schools, and they'll do video conferences and other educational components. So a number of just really great programs that are being run that sometimes we don't highlight enough. So, and this is not just here locally, I should note, this is at all three of our regions. We offer youth and local programs. Moving on, some of the ORDA food services. So if you've been out and about at the venues recently, you'll probably have seen an improvement. So we work together with our partner Sodexo. We recently hired a food and beverage manager, concessions manager, Logan McReynolds. So he's here locally in Lake Placid. He's working very closely with the ORDA team and the Sodexo team. So here's a few of our current offerings that are at the venues. Some the burrito bowls from Whiteface. So if you're out there next, definitely worth checking out. And then in the top right-hand corner, these are some of the offerings from the conference center. So different events that we've hosted and have been catered. So we've seen an improvement here, and we really are just working towards creating the best possible experience for our guests. In conjunction with the Ulster County Tourism, I Love New York, we hosted a Pride weekend at Bel Air. The event was a celebration of skiing and music and a festival over the 2 days. We had a great turnout. The number of group sales actually sold out. So over both days, and this was also another way that we work together with I Love New York and the counties that we operate in to promote different events throughout the venues. Since our last update, which at the last board meeting was updated up until December 5th, we've had a ton of media traffic, and this would be social media, print. A lot of these are local highlights or across the state, and we're seeing a lot of traction on lift openings, events that we're hosting, just different pieces. The mountains are obviously getting quite a bit, but also some of the other pieces that we do on the venues and the events. So really this has increased a lot, and we want to be able to be telling our story and getting the word out there about the venues and all of the items that we offer. We also discussed at the last board meeting that we had put in a bid for the 2026 sliding sport events on behalf of Milano Cortina. This continues to progress. Right now, Lake Placid and two other venues or two other sites are being considered as a backup option should the Milano Cortina and the Italian government not be able to complete the construction of their bobsled, skeleton, and luge track. So this continues to progress. We have, had a lot of great conversations and support from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee and from our sport partners.
Even if we don't get them, the publicity for this area is phenomenal. So thanks for all you're doing.
There's also something to be said for what happens in that process of coming together and creating this. I think I think it's been a good outcome already.
Yes, and we've had a lot of, we have a lot of partnerships that we've established through this with New York City. There's a lot of ways that we can be cross-promoting and working together across the state. So this has really opened the doors to that relationship. So January 25th to February 5th were the first Olympic Winter Games in Chamonix. So we are celebrating the centennial of the Winter Olympic Games. Our communications team has worked closely again with our partners at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. We've done a lot of cross-promotion of their social media and their PR. And so you can see some of the highlights in the stories that we've been sharing. There are two very fun facts. At the first Winter Olympic Games, a Lake Placid local won an Olympic medal. And so that's a neat piece. And since then, at every Winter Olympic Games since Chamonix, there has been a native or local Lake Placid athlete that has competed. So very interesting that the tradition and the legacy continues for Lake Placid, the Winter Olympics.
Is this all on the website?
But this is social media, and Darcy, are there pieces? There's pieces on the website as well. Lake Placid Museum.
Is that the museum that you'd find it? You'd find this, like this information at the museum website?
Yeah, and all these snippets are on their social media channels. So look for Lake Placid Olympic Museum website as well as their social channels and all this information.
Thank you.
I didn't see them. Okay, so we talked a little bit about events earlier. We often highlight the major international events, but there's a whole slew of additional events that happen at our venues year round. But here we wanted to highlight some of the Nordic events, and these are the schedules that are just upcoming. So previously this winter season, we have hosted Nordic events, but at Gore and Mount Van Hovenberg, we do have a packed schedule that takes us all the way through mid-March, which is really late in the season. We're already about halfway through the Nordic season. And just to show how many we have left to host. This wouldn't be possible at a lot of venues. The investments in snowmaking and grooming is allowing us to be able to host these events in a time where we don't have a lot of snow and much later in the season than other venues. So, and these are all level. These are not major international. These could be local or regional races that we host. In addition to Nordic, there's also a number of alpine and free ride events. So Art mentioned earlier that we have events going on this weekend at Whiteface. That's true across all of the mountains. So you'll see Whiteface, Gore, Bel Air, all of these events are taking place throughout the year. And a lot of this is a testament to our partnership with NYSF. The vast majority of these are run in conjunction with NYSF. And so we're just very fortunate to have a strong partner, a sport partner that we can work with to help promote the sports, to help in the youth involvement in them. So just a quick overview of all of the additional items that happen. And then our major event schedule. So we have already completed World Cup events, and we have a few more coming up. Obviously, this coming week, next weekend, we have got our ski jumping World Cup. Again, ticket sales are picking up. This is going to be a very fun event. So if you haven't come in the past, you definitely should check it out. We do have World Cup bobsled and skeleton in March. And also Gore Mountain is on the major event schedule as well for their whole shot event. So
What is that?
whole shot event.
I'm going to be there with my whole clan that week.
Oh yeah.
What is
It's
that?
a really fun event. And similar setup to during the FISU games where they have the slope style, and I'm going to get them all wrong. So if
No, you're doing great.
events,
Big Air.
Big Air.
Oh, okay. All right.
So really the super fun events to watch. And this is a high level competition.
Yeah.
So great if you're there, you guys will
Yeah.
enjoy it. And it ends right at the base.
Yeah.
So super
They have
spectator friendly.
The same,
Similar setup. Yeah.
similar to
Yeah.
They do a great job.
mounts. Oh, yeah, it was wonderful.
And lastly, really just a huge thank you to our staff. They are out there day in, day out, nighttime. We have several shifts just to keep the operations going. And not only do they just keep them going, they excel at it. So a thank you to all of our staff that are there, welcoming guests, preparing the venues, really making sure that everyone is having a wonderful experience. So it's not just the snowmakers, it's also our business managers, it's our media managers. They're getting the word out, they're promoting the events. They're the face of the organization, and I'm extremely proud of them. So thank you to everyone that continues to put in all the work every day. And lastly, I just would like to highlight, we had a community member, Dimitri Feld, that many of you may have known. He recently passed away suddenly. There will be a celebration of life on March 19th at the Olympic Center because it is the only venue large enough that will be able to host all of the people that he has impacted. And our team on the right made this lovely, this is Mount Van Hovenberg sliding track that is known as the Heart. They filled this in memory of Dimitri.
Just tell us a little, two sentences about who Dimitri was and is.
Sure.
As a Olympic luger, you can.
Yeah, Dimitri is formerly from Ukraine and ended up over here, was involved in luge. He became the advocate for luge within the United States. He was a coach, he was a manager, he built up the team. But throughout that, outside of his sport career, he also was a huge community member. So he was heavily involved in the Shipman Youth Center here. He did a number of support for local youth, for Ukraine. He really is was a one-man wonder. And there are many people and organizations here in the community that, are in a better place because of him.
Thank you.
You want to add anything?
I just want to say that whenever Dimitri would come asking to support the Shipman Youth Center or a Ukraine, you could not say no to him. And he would know just which button to push to get you to cough it up. And he cared about everyone but himself. And it was just a wonderful person. And he's attracted so many athletes to the sport of luge in America. It's just incredible. And can't say enough about what a wonderful man he was, and so lucky to have him a part of our community for so long. Thank you. Anyone have any more questions or comments about the report?
Thank you.
I think it was nice to have active board participation while you're speaking. Thank you. Cliff?
No, I'm good. Fine.
Great. Thank you. So we'll move on to our new business. And there are two proposed resolutions on the agenda. And I'll begin with a motion. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 521? This resolution is committing capital and authorizing the president and CEO to enter into an agreement for the purchase of replacement gondola cabins for the Northwoods Gondola at Gore Mountain. So I'd like to have someone make the motion.
I'll make that motion, Betty.
This is Betty Little, and
Second it.
Cliff will second. And I think before we move it, we're gonna have Ashley give us some information. Please.
A quick overview, the Gore gondola cabins were installed in 1999. They haven't received any replacements since then. There's considerable damage throughout them, just a lot of it being wear and tear, some from some skier damage. We've done what we can to repair them and keep them operational, but these are year-round use. So if we're doing scenic tours throughout the spring and summer and fall, these are the cabins that we're using. It's time to upgrade them, get them up to modern standards, and have something that is very presentable and enjoyable to our guests year-round.
Question? So Gore is where they have all the little panels inside giving you pieces of history. Am I right? Inside the Gore gondola? I think those are great. And I hope that when you replace gondolas, you keep that going. My grandkids love to read it. And I think it's a really cool way to share the story.
It's really special.
And then, so this would be done and installed for next season.
Yeah.
Up and go.
I'll be happy.
It didn't last as long as the other ones.
Yeah,
Oh, the other
that's a
ones.
long time.
25 years. So
Yeah.
Will there be a sale program of the old gondolas?
there will be
I mean, the old cabinets?
So
Yeah, we did that with White Faces.
They seem
The
to,
Bel Air chairs last year sold out in about 9 minutes.
We didn't charge enough. Okay, any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously, please. Thank you. So next on our agenda, may I have a motion to adopt Resolution 522? It's a resolution committing capital and granting approval for the president and CEO to enter into agreements for Bel Air Ski Center Discovery Lodge and Overlook Lodge Improvements Project.
so moved.
Moved by Ellie,
Second.
second by Diane. And you'll note that the dollar amount resolution is blank, and I believe the bids for the project were received on January 30th. So at the time the board packet was distributed and posted, bids for the trade contracts had not been received. On review and consideration of the bids received, the total anticipated cost of the project is $34.7 million. May I have a motion to amend Resolution 522 to insert the amount of $34.7 million as the total anticipated cost of the project?
I'll make that. Betty.
Betty
Second,
moving it, Ellie second. All those in favor of the amendment to Resolution 522?
Discussion.
Want discussion?
Don't know.
Does anyone want discussion? Glad to ask for it.
No.
If you're at Bel Air on a weekend, you know why we need to do this. It's pretty important.
So
day after snow.
all in favor of the amendment to Resolution 522?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion to amend carries unanimously. I think we've,
You go back
So
and
now Ashley.
okay, now Ashley, can you share any further information with us on this project? Please?
This is an overview of the timeline for the construction project. So the initial resolution for all of the planning started on the May 16th board resolution. The project is set to commence in April. This is a multi-year project starting with Discovery Lodge, which will be open for conditional occupancy for the beginning of the 24-25 ski season with a final completion date of December of 24. Overlook Lodge will be the second phase of the project, and that will be set to be complete for December of 25, following year, multi-year project. This is a quick snapshot of the revenue growth over the past 9 years at Bel Air, with the exception of COVID and a seasonably strange winter year. You can see the trend moving or growing and then exponentially here in the past couple of years. All of our numbers and sales, the revenue growth is based not only on season pass sales, but also on single day tickets. We do have carrying capacities at each of the venues, which is based on a number of factors, but one of those being lodge capacity. So this lodge project will help us to continue to support the growth of Bel Air. This is a photo of the current Discovery Lodge. You'll see the tan building to the left. That is actually a fabric temporary building that our rental shop is hosted in. This new project will put all of our services together into the Discovery Lodge. It'll also be an expansion of our dining facilities and additional space for our beginners and our ski school. The interior lodge, you can see some of the upgrades that will be done. In addition, it'll open up the ticket area, provide more space for a guest to come in. Right now on a busy weekend, there's not enough space to accommodate people wanting to come in and eat, particularly during the busier times. So quite a bit of work to be done on this expansion, and it will really help us to continue to support the growth. Here's a rendering of what the outside will look like, more formal approach as you get there with one main entrance. Right now it is chopped up, so depending on whether you need rentals, tickets, or you're going into the food service areas, this will put all of the flows together into one combined building.
Is this entrance going to be about where the current rental entrance is? Okay.
So that fabric building will come down.
Yeah.
It will expand towards the road and back towards the beginning area.
Actually, I have a quick question. Will it bring back room for daycare and things like that for mountain visitors?
The plan is not to include daycare at the moment. There's some regulations and other things that related to daycare that become operationally difficult. It will expand and provide better services for the ski school and for the beginner area. So some of the youth programs that are there, but it does not include a daycare area.
Thank you.
Overlook Lodge. So this will be phase 2 of the Bel Air Lodge projects. There was some work done this summer. This is an older building. It has been added on to throughout the years. Some of the log work was deteriorating in the back or the uphill portion of the lodge. That was replaced and repainted this past construction season. So it's got us in a better place, but there's a number of things that need to happen within the lodge. Again, one main entrance. So you'll see they're centralized in the middle. One main entrance to help with the ingress and egress. A lot of just modernization work, replacing roofs, doors, windows, added insulation, upgraded heating. It will expand the services here too. The space is very tight for the food and beverage. Increase the pub area, locker space. So a real overhaul of this building.
Is the ADA compliance being addressed by putting bathrooms upstairs as well as downstairs or via an elevator? Do we know that?
In Overlook, Kirk, you wanna answer that question?
Both? Okay, good.
So there's new restrooms upstairs and an elevator.
Okay.
That's great.
Thanks, Kirk. And new for fire protection system, so really a major modernization and reconfiguration of this building.
Is the footprint changing a lot at all?
Kind of can't.
No, not substantially.
Okay.
For later.
Thanks. So any more questions on the Bel Air multi-lodge projects? So all in favor of resolution 522 as amended?
Aye.
Please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. So that concludes the business, or we have another slide I saw?
Just a thank you.
Oh, it's okay.
And a plug.
And a
ski
plug
jumping.
for ski jumping, great. So that concludes the business of today's board meeting. Are there any new business items? Any old business items?
There was something about talk about an employee satisfaction survey that had been batted around a while ago, and I was wondering what was going on with that.
Yes, so we do annual employee satisfaction surveys. Actually, Liz, not to put you on the spot, but do you want to talk about the current status and?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Ashley and I have we reviewed the current survey. We're going to keep it very similar to last year so that we have year-over-year comparables. new this year, we're taking it for full-time employees and allowing part-time employees to also participate in the survey. And it may be even extended further to some of those volunteer employees such as ski patrol and mountain hosts. So we've been working on that, and we're hoping to roll it out next week.
And how does it get to all of the employees?
Yeah, so we're gonna leverage the ORDA.org and whiteface.com or Bel Air emails in the database. And then I think we're strategizing on how to reach the part-time staff. We're not able to use their personal emails, so we're gonna try to find a way to put posters up around the room to
What room?
but the time clock rooms and any other forms of employee communications. We're working through how to best target those part-time employees.
Part-time, like ski instructors don't clock in, so there's no time clock.
Yeah, it's one of the things we're trying to work out. We have to be very careful about utilizing personal email addresses. So we're trying to find ways outside of, for the employees that do not have any of the ORDA, Bel Air, Gore, or Whiteface email addresses to see how we can reach them. So
Can I ask why they can't use?
We have to have people's permission to use their personal emails for things like this. What we're going to do going forward is when we onboard people, we're going to include a permission checkbox for them so that we do have that permission going forward.
Because we get
Now-
all the time from our supervisors from ORDA, we get Workbright, we get all sorts of communications.
Workbright, I think, is set up that way. It's part of your onboarding with personnel, but for other work-related items, we've not covered that. So I'll have to talk to HR about how that's being done.
Can you use mailing address?
I think that there's a concern about doing paper copies of this, right?
Well, if there's a QR code on it, if it comes paper, right?
We've talked about the QR code option.
yeah, I think we have, we're trying to find ways so that we can reach as many people as possible. So we're
As efficiently as possible.
to send out the paper survey, I don't know that we would get the responses that we want. And also it is an online form, so it would be difficult to then input that information.
But no, because the only reason I say that is because, like, at least at Bel Air, there's no central lounge. There's no central locker room. There's no central place
Anything.
where part-timers have to go. So there is no place that they would actually see it. So if there was a letter sent, for instance, since email is not an option right now, and there's a QR code, they could go to that, not suggesting a paper survey, but it would actually get to them, I think, more readily than a poster up on a wall. And also because they couldn't do it at Bel Air because they probably wouldn't have the Wi-Fi service.
Depends on,
How many part-timers receive their paychecks through form versus
Physical
automatic
form?
deposit?
Oh, I'd say very few. Most of them get direct deposit, I would say.
It's definitely something that we're working on, and hopefully we can leverage emails in a different way. How do you part-time? How do you get your schedule for the week?
We do a form at the beginning before the season starts and we hand it in, and we're expected to show up when we've told them we're going to be there.
well, you're Mountain.
No, Mountain Explorers, I'm there for every week.
He's got regular
Right,
assignment.
but everybody else, we tell them the 24 days or more that we're going to be there at the beginning of this, before the beginning of the season, and then we show up. So it's not communicated, we don't communicate on a weekly basis.
So I think we have noted your comment.
Yeah.
We'll get back to
Yeah.
at our next meeting.
I'm glad you're expanding. I'm glad it's expanding, and I think it's a really good thing. Bruce made the comment the other day, we've got good people and we've got to keep good people. And I'm happy to see that investment being made.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Cliff.
Thank you, Cliff.
Second, Betty.
Second, Betty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. We are adjourned